To start this off, I would typically say time is money, especially when you're an entrepreneur. But I had a realization the other day when I was journaling. Time is way more precious than money. You've probably heard it. You can make more money. You can't make more time. It's our absolute most precious resource. And being a busy small business owner with a never-ending laundry list of to-dos and tasks, woof, I get it. However, over the years, I've learned that mastering, I don't like the phrase time management. Let's think mastering habits that have to do with how you spend your time. Those can make all of the difference when it comes to success. So in today's video, I want to let you in on some of the insider tips that I have used for years, but also tweaked as life has changed. My hope is that this helps you with the overall flow of your business and saves you from burnout. Hey there, welcome back to another episode. My name is Ashlyn Carter. I'm a conversion copywriter and brand and launch strategist for creatives like you. I love talking about direct response sales copy, but I am an extremely distractible person. So for me, part of the game of entrepreneurship has been trying to figure out how to corral myself and make myself do things, because you get paid for what you do, not what you intend to do. Click like if you agree and you have a hard time with some of these things too. Hopefully you can walk away from this video and glean a nugget or two. By the way, these are all tips that I'm included in my brand new The Art of Efficiency program. Look down below and you can hop on the wait list. Let's get into it with tip number 1. Okay, tip number 1 is the toddler clock. So I've talked about in other videos before the Pomodoro technique. If you've not heard about it, it's the concept of being dialed in, head down and focused for about 25 minutes. And you come up for air and a breezy little 5-minute break. You go back down for 25 minutes, off for 5, and you repeat this a couple of times. I posted on Instagram one time about this Pomodoro clock that is just so hilarious and it's fun. It's on I Love Creative's website. But here's another tip. I'm a toddler mom, and for every parent out there, you understand how kids have no concept of time. They don't know what you mean when you say 15 minutes. Sometimes I try to say it's like one Power Ranger show. That's where this little beauty comes in. I got me one that was more on brand colors for my office, and it visually makes and represents time. I think I can hold this up so there's not so much of a glare, but see how it makes time visual. And I keep this in front of my desk. I use this all the time, and I just set it at usually 25 minutes, and then I see how far I can get in that task. So I'll tell myself I am writing copy on this email, no getting up to pet the dogs, no bathroom breaks, no snack breaks. I'm just doing this for 25 minutes, and then I can take a little break and start it over. It actually, I just realized, has an alarm. I don't even use the alarm. The visual cue is enough. Tip number 2, everybody and their mother talks about having a big 3. 3 is a lot. Maybe it's just me, but I have had such a hard time over the years getting a big 3 done. I probably slayed at it when I didn't have kids, but now I don't. So here's what I do. I have my big 2. I'll tell you where that's from. And then for my third item, it's usually some kind of adulting task. Here's what the concept of the big 2 has come from. I started a book last year that I'm still finishing. It's called The Effective Executive. It's like a go-to classic business book. And in it, Peter Drucker says, as you sit down every day as the CEO of an enterprise, you think of this one question every day. What are the 2 most important things I can do for the enterprise today? That struck me when I was reading it by the pool, because I was thinking, I always think in 3s. And here he was dialing it down to 2, but 2 was a little more realistic to what I was actually able to get done. So now that's what I focus on. And then I use the third spot for that home type adulting task. So that's my hack here. You can still do a big 3, but I usually make one something that has to get done in an adulting sense or a home sense, because that stuff's important too. Number 3, I teased this in my last video, but I have moved. I am now a plan on Fridays kind of girl. I am not a plan on Sundays girl. For years, on Sunday nights, it was just, I had a moment I could get a cup of tea and plan my week and kind of figure out what were my big 3 tasks for the week. What did I want to do? What errands did I need to run? The problem was, A, I had kids, and B, sometimes I just didn't want to do that on a Sunday. I wanted to veg on the couch. Then that meant I would bump it into Mondays and use a good chunk of the time in Monday mornings when my brain was rested and firing and ready to go. I would have to use that time to recap and figure out, okay, what is it exactly that I'm doing here at work? At this thing I call my job. So I adopted this tip from Laura Vanderkam. She talks about it inside her book, Tranquility by Tuesday. And every Friday afternoon when my brain juice is starting to evaporate, I can have a moment and plan the next week. So what I'm doing here is thinking about what is important over the next 7 days to usually 2 weeks. So what I've found is in this block, if I go ahead and look at the next 2 weeks instead of just the week, I am the queen of something popping up and me thinking, oh my gosh, I thought that was a month from now. So this has helped that. Then I also think about, what do I need to do? What do I want to do? I'll flip through my goals again. I think about what I'm looking forward to. I try to plan some sort of family adventure. And this is the kicker. This is when I can solve any logistical problems. My executive assistant, Claire, locks in my schedule on Fridays. So on a Friday, it is locked. The next week's schedule is set. So yes, hat tip to Claire. She's solving so many logistical problems as she does for me every day. But I then, when I'm having this moment of Friday planning, I get to see, oh my gosh, I totally forgot there is a teacher work day that day. I need to figure out childcare, or I need to get a babysitter. Wes and I haven't had our date night. Or there's a birthday coming up. I need to make sure I get a gift or send a card. Stuff like that, which, like I said, I get an A+ for forgetting. Okay, if this has been helpful so far, click the like button. This next tip I have for you, you might not love so much, but all I'm asking is you just do it for a little bit, like 7 days. Time tracking. I've talked about this before. In my corporate agency girl era, I tracked and billed my time. A lot of attorneys and lawyers do it, but it is the telltale sign of where your time is going. And if you find yourself being like completely unaware of how much time you're actually putting towards certain projects or things, this will shut you up real quick. It always does me. Here's my hot, spicy tip on this. Don't worry about all the fancy apps and trackers out there. Just use what is most simple for you to use, because this can be a difficult habit to get into for longer than 7 days, but you can do it for 7 days. And I think you'll learn enough data from that you're gonna be set with some ideas and some new hypotheses. Okay, I typically use a spreadsheet. I'll just print one of these off the printer, keep it on my desk, and log what I've been doing. I'm not even asking you to do anything crazy like color code and figure out how many hours are you working. For me, just the concept of realizing, oh, I thought I worked 7 hours today. I did not. That is major. You can get all fancy into this and use all sorts of systems like Toggle. But if you take nothing else away from this video, take this. If you're having a moment where everything in your life feels crazy and you're not getting done what you need to, try a time tracking challenge for just 7 days with yourself, and you'll start to be able to see some patterns that you probably wouldn't have recognized otherwise. Tip number 5. You've probably heard about time blocking before, but I want to tell you how I do it. There's 2 little subpoints of this that have stuck with me for years. I've talked about how to do day batching in videos before, and I still kind of do that, but as I've moved and grown, and now that I've been in business about 7 years, this is what I try to do. In the mornings, I need at least 2 hours of blackout time. I call it my tiger time. I am in hunter mode. I am in specialist mode, doing the things that only I can do. Nobody can get me. I have my phone in focus mode. Only my husband, my immediate family, and my executive assistant can even call through. Just 2 hours, and I am locked in on getting things done. Some days I can do more than 3 hours, but again, usually 2 to 3 hours is all I can even do in a day for this, because my next point on time blocking, this has enabled me to adhere to the principle, be a maker in the morning and a manager in the afternoon, which is the best mantra that I have heard. At least it works for me in my energies. I get a creative burst in the morning and then again later in the afternoon. And so if I'm able to expend my best energy on my stuff, on my projects, on the things that I've said are gonna help push my goals towards what I want them to do, that's paramount. Okay, I have a little bonus tip for you here. I'm gonna teach you a magical phrase. When I time block, I say this to myself constantly. Ashlyn, there is a time to do that. Now is not the time. This is helpful when you time block, and it bleeds into the next tip that I've got for you as well. Get used to telling yourself, you know what, great idea. That's so good, you do need to do that. Now is not the time. And if you have carved out moments for this stuff on your calendar, it can go there. If you need a sticky of that on your desk, you're welcome, so do I. Okay, and my number 7 productivity tip. This is probably dumb, but it really helps me. I have one household thing that I do on Monday through Saturday. Mondays are mailback mornings, so anything that I need to like ship out from the house, whether it's a return, it's something that needs to go to UPS, it's something I sold on Poshmark that I need to pop in the mail. It works for me if I have a carved out time to do this. Remember that whole, there's a time to do that, now is not the time concept. I have instituted for myself this year text back Tuesdays. If I have one day where I'm like, okay, this is the day that I'm clearing out all these unread text messages. Any other millennials struggle with that? On Tuesdays, I make sure I plow through them. These next 3 I've been doing for probably 5 or 6 or 7 years. I water all my plants on Wednesdays. The W makes me remember. On Thursdays, the TH makes me remember. Write my thank you notes, any thank you notes that I need to write. And on Fridays, I do my Finance Friday workflow. I've done a whole video about that. I guess Saturdays could be sheets and laundry on Saturdays, but those other 5 things are important enough that I need to do regularly. But if something is going crazy and the kids are off or something's going on, I'm traveling, it's not so important that if I miss a week, it'll totally set me off and spiral. I can usually catch up the next week. Okay, I have a little bonus tip for you. Keep pushing and trying to figure out until you find a goal setting system that works for you. Kudos to all the goal setting system creators out there, but I am not quite sure that there's one silver bullet that does it all. Don't forget, look down below, get on the Art of Efficiency waitlist and grab your free time tracker. Have that on your desk 7 days. Just give me 7 days. It'll show you a lot. Being busy in your business is always such a good sign, but don't let it paralyze you along the way. You've got this. Take a little action on your habits. There's that James Clear quote I always like. We don't rise to our goals so much as we fall to our habits. So hopefully with these tips, you'll be able to have a more solid grip of running your creative small business. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.